to you live from Feedback Friday.
Feedback Friday.
Feed.
You picked this Boston pizza, and you had some thoughts about this one.
Yeah, man. I do like to visit the Great White North. I got nothing against Canada. I love Canada. They're really nice people. They always apologize. I feel like I'm stereotyping a whole country at this moment, so I'm going to stop.
Before we get started, I want to thank Email Monks for sponsoring this episode. Need help in creating really good email templates for your campaigns? Discover how Email Monks can make that happen in a snap. They are experts at designing and coding email templates at a great price. If you want to level up your email game, give Email Monks a try.
Just off the bat, it's not bad. I feel like they could have centered that, or that hanging brand is not jiving with me for some reason. But other than that, you get into normal text, $5 off, that's great. But I also like this whole, what is this whole design below? This is what intrigues me about this email. What are your thoughts as we
start
jump?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, I do like, just before we jump down the rest of the email, because it is a very long email, this Boston Pizza, this font does look like it's a custom font. It almost looks like it's like Impact, which is, I guess, a font for a headline. Knockout, Impact, Fallback, yeah. I think it can work, but I think it sort of takes my eye away from the rest of this. I think I agree that maybe even having this headline be an image just to match some of these other fonts. I think we had mentioned before, the more fonts that you use in email, we almost do it like as a point system, where if there's this font and then this font and this font and this font, it can be a little too much for your eyes. Making it a little bit more simplified with the amount of fonts that they're pulling in might be good, at least for this top section. I think the start here is pretty clear, but even some sort of arrows or directions about, where to start. And this is like the main focal point, as you said.
Yeah, I think if they just did the Boston Pizza a little bit bigger and then a proud Canadian brand underneath that title as like a subline, and centered that would have been easier on my eyes. I'm being nitpicky at this point. So we're going to scroll through some Canadian sites and enjoy the provinces of Canada at the moment. So we just keep going. The dotted lines help you just guide you down, which is pretty cool. And you get to Newfoundland with some fries, it looks like. Are those fries or those chips? Frites. I just love the artistic elements in this. You've got Vikings, you've got icebergs, and they kind of add in little details here and there, which is really fun.
Yeah, I do like it, but since these are all images, I don't think they're really going to scale all that well for mobile, and some of this text might be a little hard to read on those devices. That's my only complaint so far, but I do like the graphical style. I just think some of these could all be sort of bigger for that mobile view.
This text is all baked in, right?
Yeah.
And are they is it like 100 different sliced images that are stacked?
It's just a bunch of images stacked.
At least they're not trying to go with one really big image.
True, that is true.
That load time would take forever. I remember the good old days when I used to do emails like this.
Some good ones.
But we would do the same thing. We would have our designer who would send us a Photoshop file. We'd flatten that. And then we would just slice the hell out of it, and then just stack those slices, which is what this looks like. Is any of this clickable?
No.
Oh my gosh, it keeps going. It just keeps going, dude.
I'm literally 2,000 years old at the end of this email. It's been a lifetime of some delicious Boston pizza in Canada. Wait, does that even make sense? Why is it called Boston Pizza?
Don't question the brand.
It's true. I didn't mean to assume their origins.
Yeah, they said here's to another 151 years of Canada pride. That's how long it took us to get through this email.
Exactly.
But what I like about this is that these dotted lines just kind of guide you down this whole thing. I think that since they focus on every province, you kind of have some province pride to see what is your province's thing. I think the delivery is a little off. I think they probably could have consolidated that, done some live things to make it shorter. But conceptually, I think this is a cool idea.
This was an email submission to our site. So why does this one, why is this something that we might not add to really good emails?
If it didn't make it, it's just going to be because it's all that whole thing's all images. if you have images turned off, you really see absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the long scroll can work, but as you're saying, when it's all just image sliced up, it can be a little hard to follow. I think this is a good start to an email, but I think I might have dropped off a little sooner. I think this is just a tad bit too long for me, so maybe they could shorten this up just a tad bit, and I would be on board for sure.
But there are other emails that are like this.
Yeah, we have some other long scroll emails that are on our site right now that we think are really successful, and I'd like to look at those.
Let's jump in.
I think we've talked about before how we are fans of Penguin. This is a kind of an experimental email. We're not saying it has full support everywhere, but the fallback is pretty nice as well, it seems like.
So kind of walk through what we're looking at here, Matt.
This Penguin Random House email has this little penguin in a car, which I think the email description says like that just makes it automatically a good email. But there's this live text up top that's really nice. And then the idea is that this image stays still while you scroll through the email, and it's like a tour of the country featuring all these different books. And, there's a section to, read more. If this scrolling isn't really supported, it might only be supported in the browser or on specific email clients. I think it just stays up top. But to me, this one makes a lot more sense. It being a little bit shorter helps out, and these are pretty still clear image sizes for me through this email, and kind of get a good amount of value on desktop and mobile.
Yeah, this one's really fun. I just love the fixed position of that bus. It's a really cool element to kind of have you engage with this email, because not a lot of people are doing that. We've seen this in a couple other things like Taco Bell. We've talked about that one in the past. Like you said, they only go through a few states versus
all 50.
All the states. That would... I think this is like a good length for an email as well. I think when you get to the bottom, you don't feel fatigued, but it gives you enough to like kind of jump in and see what the other states might be.
I think that long scroll sort of infographic map is becoming a popular trend, but I think for email specifically, I think we've said in the past, it's more of an invitation to a click and less of showing you every single thing. These feel like they drive to like a landing page or a way for you to get more information rather than having, all 50 states in an email, and that wouldn't be as good of an experience.
One last one. I think we may have shown this one off in the past as well.
Oh.
So we can go quickly.
I thought it said tacos for a second, but it doesn't say that.
Maybe you could get tacos in Taos, New Mexico.
True.
Here we get into another kind of long scroll version of going through places. Real quick, we look at this live text. Like everything on this email goes down further, but it's all live text. You got buttons that are breaking things up. You've got ideas where to stay, which is nice because that's kind of the focus of this. But the real reason I want to bring this one up is just kind of the visual layout that we saw similar to Boston and for Penguin at the very top, which kind of guides you through the Taos experience and why Taos is cool. It gives you some other cool things in there.
It does look like some of these sections are images sliced, especially when they're, left or right aligned. But the rest of this email being, live text, I imagine is a better experience. So if they could do something like this throughout the rest of the email, that'd be ideal. But I think they're trying their best when it comes to some of this live text.
I hope you enjoyed your journey through different places today.
So I guess the takeaway for me is that we do support the idea of embrace the scroll in some ways, but I think you need to make it interesting enough for someone to scroll through your email and provide value throughout for them to really get through the whole thing.
That's a good takeaway. Thanks, Matt.
Well, have a fantastic Friday, Mike.
Hey, you too. Have a good weekend.
If you have any feedback on the series, please leave a comment down below. Hit subscribe to keep up with future episodes. Thank you for giving a listen and letting our sponsors know you love really good emails.
You are watching a master at work.